Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3850b, and today's date is February 28th, 2026, and the title of the episode is Trump is dismantling Obama's rogue nuclear states to reset the world. To be blunt, game over. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech, fake news, the puppet masters, you can see they are in a deep panic right now. They're screaming and yelling Trump doesn't have the authorization to bomb Iran. Well, yes, he does. Every other president used it, the War Powers Act of 1973. And Trump, yes, has the right to use it, just like every other president before him. Remember, Trump is using everything that they put into place to actually push their agenda. Remember, think about when the War Powers Act was introduced in 1973. Why would they introduce it right after we came off the gold standard? To keep the petrodollar system alive in the Middle East. So this way, it gave the president the authority to go in and actually bomb certain areas without going to Congress. And now Trump is using this against the deep state players. Guess what? They don't like this whatsoever. They don't like, wait a minute, you can't use what we put together to keep our system alive. That's just not allowed. But again, if you notice what Trump has been doing, he's been using all these laws against them. And he's using it to dismantle the deep state system across the globe. Yes, Venezuela. Right now, Rubio's in talks with Cuba, which is going to be a friendly takeover. Trump already just mentioned that. So Cuba is going to fall. Venezuela, that has already fallen. Now we see Iran. Is Trump going in there with military troops to take over Iran and put in a puppet government? No. He's hitting strategic targets with Israel, just like we talked about in previous reports. They're going to remove the Iranian Guard. They're going to remove the Ayatollah. They're going to make it possible for the people to take back their country and to put the rightful leader into place that they elect. That's what is happening. Now, remember, going back to 1979, on April 1st, what happened? Well, the Ayatollah signed the Islamic document making Iran the Islamic State, and all of a sudden, everything changed. Now, Trump went ahead, said, okay, I'm done with these talks because Iran is just delaying everything. They're not really deciding on anything, just like Ukraine. Ukraine is in delay mode. Venezuela was in delay mode, and Trump just said, you know what, forget this. We're just going in. Iran was in delay mode, and I think he knew eventually he was going to have to go in there. He gave them a chance. He always does. Here's your chance. Do the right thing. If you're not going to do the right thing, we're going in. You decided not to do the right thing, so we're going in. And you have to remember, when there was regime change back in 1979, it looks like the intelligence agencies, they kind of screwed it up, or they did it on purpose. And then when Obama came in, he used that to feed certain rogue states. And he was trying to get Iran into a nuclear state, just like North Korea. And basically, you got to think of Uranium One. And Trump now is dismantling Obama's rogue nuclear states. Basically, Trump is resetting the world before the deep state players took over, before the deep state players installed their teams into all these different places. And if you notice, one by one, he is now dismantling them. So basically, you can see the game is over. Yeah, Iran can fight back. Is it really Iran, or is it the deep state players within Iran that are fighting back? Do you think they're going to win? Absolutely not. Already, you could see that Trump and Israel, they have the upper hand. Soon, you're going to see the people take over the country. And Trump has already let them know, yes, this is your time. Take back your country. And think about it. When the people elect their people, that person's going to do business with Trump. We don't have to worry about a rogue nuclear state. We don't have to worry about the deep state players. We don't have to worry about any of this. And Trump is going to make economic deals. Now, think about what Trump did. He created the Abraham Accords going back to his first term. Why would he do that? Why would he get all the Arab nations and Israel working together. Because now, look what happened. The deep state players, they fired missiles at all these different countries. Now all these countries are saying, you know something? We're on the side of Trump. We're on the side of peace. And now Iran, the deep state players, they are isolated there. So basically, this is all coming to an end. And you can see the last country is going to be Ukraine. Now, I do believe the deep state players, they're going to try to push World War III, which is not going to happen. I do believe they're going to be using a scare event. This is not World War III with Iran. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Trump is bringing us into war. No, peace through strength. This is how you stop the wars. If you notice, everything that Trump does, everyone panics first. They go, oh my God, he's starting a war. And then all of a sudden they realize, hey, wait a minute, nothing really happened. Look at Venezuela. Now we're getting oil. Now the prisoners are being released. Soon they're going to have an election. They're going to put the people that they want in there. We're going to do even more business with them. Same thing with Cuba. Communism is dead, and the people are going to take back their country. Same thing is going to happen in Iran. The people of Iran are going to take back their country. The United States, the deep state players, are not going to dictate what should be done there. The people are going to control their own destiny. The same thing is going to happen in Ukraine, which means the deep state players are losing control worldwide. So if you really want to look at it, you can see that Trump is resetting everything that they have done and bringing us back to a time before the deep state players kind of messed everything up and tried to have a one world government and control everything. So you could see it's definitely working. You could see we're on a path here, and Trump, every step of the way, is using the power of the military to usher in peace, just like he's going to do with Ukraine. Yes, they will try to start war. Yes, they will probably try to use a scare tactic, like nuclear scare tactic. Yes, he will use that against them to usher in peace. And if you think about it, Russia is not going to interfere with Iran. China is not going to interfere with Iran. The Arab nations are not going to interfere. Actually, they're on the side of Trump. Trump only goes into these countries or goes ahead with the mission. He makes sure that he has the other countries on his side. This is what we're going to do. We're going to set these people free. And you can see what happened in Venezuela. You can see what's happening in Iran. And he has the assurances from the other countries they're not going to get involved. And that's exactly what is happening right now. Now, we're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about all those individuals, the terrorists in New York that were throwing snowballs at the NYPD officers. It looks like the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, I don't think anyone's surprised about this, has dropped the assault charges against 27-year-old West African Koulibaly, who threw ice balls at the NYPD officers. This guy was also indicted for robbery 3 weeks ago, but is once again free. So once again, you can see that in New York, in Seattle, in Oregon, in Chicago, in Illinois, Chicago, and California, they always let the criminals out. DC Drano says, this is anarcho-tyranny in action. They punish law-abiding citizens with higher taxes, more regulation, strict enforcement, but the thugs and hooligans who are allowed to freely terrorize law-abiding citizens to assert dominance over the population. This is classic Marxist tool to maintain power, and that's absolutely true. And think about it. Bragg, we know he's corrupt, and why do they keep releasing the prisoners, the criminals? Because once again, when they have their riots, they need people like these criminals to go out on the streets, to loot, to burn, to pillage, you name it. Upstanding moral citizens will not do this. So they need Antifa. They need the criminal illegals. They need to release the criminals. They can't jail them because, again, they won't have an army. That's why this is being done. Now, the other thing we could see is that both Hillary and Bill Clinton, they testified in front of Congress. Now, you have to remember, when these individuals go in front of Congress, it's not to get the truth. It's not to put them away in prison. I think everyone's misreading what this is used for. Basically, what you want to do, because you know these people are going to lie, you want them to lie in front of Congress. You want them to deny everything. You want them to say it's a conspiracy. Because what happens later on? When the evidence comes out, you want the lies to show that they were covering up their crimes. So they lied to Congress, they lied to the people, and now here's the first piece of evidence. Oh, wait a minute, you said this didn't happen. You lied. Here's the second piece of evidence. Oh, wait, you said this didn't happen. You lied again. See, the cover-up always brings you down. When you lie about what you did, especially in front of Congress and especially in front of the people, because again, this is all videotaped. So this is going to be released. This is going to be their downfall. This shows that they're guilty. Have you ever seen a criminal who's captured saying, oh yeah, I murdered that person. Oh yeah, I robbed that store. Or do they always lie? I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I didn't commit that murder. I didn't rob. I didn't do any of these things. And then they show the videotape. Then they show the fingerprints on the weapon. Then they have witnesses. This is what always gets them in the end. So if you're looking for the truth, if you're looking for somebody to be convicted during these hearings, that's not what it's used for. It's to catch them in their lies. We want them to do this. We want them to cover up their crimes because the cover up always gets you in the end. And that's what you're going to see. And think about it. Hillary Clinton is out there saying, I have no knowledge of Epstein. I have never met him before. I've never worked with him. I know nothing. Same thing with Bill. He did the same exact thing. But again, we know, yes, because we've seen pictures, we've seen documents, we've seen emails. We know that he funded the Clinton Foundation. We know that this is a lie. That's the whole purpose of all of this. Paul Sperry put this out and said, Chelsea Clinton's wedding was in 2010 when Hillary Clinton was acting Secretary of State, which means I'm told agents for DOS's SD, the Secretary's Protective Detail Division, part of the Diplomatic Security Service, also would have done advanced security work along with Bill Clinton's Secret Service detail for the event, including clearing the entire guest list, as well as any plus ones, as Hillary swears attending Ghislaine Maxwell was an attempt to suggest that Clintons did not invite her and had no idea Epstein's pedo groomer would be at the ceremony 4 years after her co-conspirator Epstein was arrested for sex crimes. Did Ghislaine stay for the reception? If so, did either Clinton speak with her there? Did they ask her why she was at their daughter's wedding? No. But again, you could see, which is with Hillary saying that they have no knowledge of any of these people. Once again, they're caught in a lie. Because again, when the evidence starts to come out, and I do believe the grand jury information comes out and they're indicted, it's going to show that they lied every step of the way. One thing that did happen is that Bill Clinton testified under oath that Trump was not involved with Epstein whatsoever. So he just basically showed the world that Trump had nothing to do with it. So the entire mission of the deep state players, the D's, is now completely and utterly falling apart. Remember, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, they lie. They will continue to lie. They lie to cover up their lies. Remember going back in time, and M. Wokeness put this out, when Bill Clinton said, I did not have sex with that woman? Well, did he have sex with her? Absolutely. Now he says, I did not know Epstein trafficked girls. And now there's pictures of Bill Clinton with young girls. I think Megyn Kelly just put this out there. So yeah, you're going to see the evidence. They lied to cover up their lies. But again, that's the whole point of the congressional hearing. It's to get them on the record. It's to make sure that we have this information. So when the real evidence comes out, the people of this country see that they were lying. Just like with Fauci. Just like with everyone else. So now when the indictments come down, everything that they said, everything they told Congress was a lie. And it's that much easier to see their crimes. Because once again, they lied, and now here's the real evidence. Do you think the people are going to believe them after that? Absolutely not. Now, the other thing that we could see is that the European Union, they are now pushing censorship. And I do believe they're getting prepared for what is coming. Now, remember, the deep state players, I do believe their last act is going to be to try to start World War III. And as Trump removes the different rogue nuclear states, they're just going to have one country to try this with, and that's Ukraine with Russia. And I do believe this is what they're trying to do. And I think this is what they're going to do in the end. And to control the narrative, the flow of information, what do they have to do? They have to put their censorship policies into place. Now, they have a lot of it already in place, and the European Commission has released a new plan to prevent terrorism that includes the rejection of European democratic values like anti-LGBTQ plus hatred, anti-system ideologies, and many others. So basically, they're saying you're a terrorist if you go against any of that. And if you don't, agree with the government, we can shut you down. We can arrest you. So they're putting all this into place to do what? To censor people as they push their agenda. Now, in the United States, it's a little bit more difficult to do because once again, we have our rights. We have the Constitution. So once again, can they direct the social media platforms to censor people? Yeah, they can, but it's a violation of our constitutional rights. Plus, they have platforms. We have platforms now that they don't control. This is why the European Union is trying to control X from outside of the country. But this is not going to work. So what is their last alternative if they try to push war? If they try to bring down the financial system, which I do believe that's what they're going to try to do, because you have to remember, Trump is building the parallel economic system, which is called the tariff system. Remember, they sued Trump with the tariffs because they're trying to stop him. The tariff system competes with the central bank system. The tariff system is stronger than a central bank system. So what do you think they'll do to start World War III? And what do you think they'll do to stop Trump with the tariff system and building a new economic system? They're going to probably try to use a cyber attack. Yes, it'll probably hit communications. Yes, it'll probably hit the financial institutions. And yes, they'll try to start war out in Ukraine. And we might see cyber attacks across the globe. Actually, if you go back in time, World Economic Forum has actually mentioned this. I do believe this will probably be their last act that they'll try to kick off. But again, I think Trump and the Patriots, they know the playbook in all of this. When will this occur? Well, most likely we'll probably see riots happen very close to the midterms. Now, will they be coupled with cyber attacks? Maybe. Maybe it'll happen during that period of time, or maybe it'll happen after. But we'll have to see how it all plays out. But we know that they're planning to do all of this. And if you look, the IMF, they just approved an $8.1 billion loan to fund Ukraine over 4 years, authorizing an immediate $1.5 billion disbursement. And this is going to help Ukraine. And they're getting money from the European Union. Well, at least the European Union is trying to give it to them. But you can see Hungary, Slovakia, they're trying to stop all of this. And you could see that they're trying to remove Viktor Orban as president, and they're trying to manipulate the elections because they need control over the European nations. So basically, the European Union, a dictatorship who is not elected by the people, they're trying to control the countries in the European Union. See how the one world government works? And Viktor Orban and President of Slovakia, Robert Fico, they're fighting back. And you can see they shut down the oil supplies, the gas supplies that are coming into their countries. And now they want to inspect these areas. Robert Fico put this out and said, in connection with the state of the oil emergency in Slovakia, I spoke today by phone with the Ukrainian President Zelensky. I asked him for information on when and whether at all the transit of oil through the territory of Ukraine to Slovakia would be resumed. I argued that we have a legitimate right to such imports based on a signed agreement with suppliers, as well as on the EU decision allowing the use of energy resources from Russia until the end of 2027. I informed the president that his decision to stop the transit of oil is causing us logistical difficulties and economic damage. The conversation confirmed that we have differing views on the condition of the pipeline. Now, think about what he just said. It's causing logistical and economic damage. That's the whole purpose of it. While our intelligence information confirms that the pipeline is not damaged and nothing prevents the transit of oil, the Ukrainian president insisted that repairing the pipeline requires a long time. For this reason, in order to avoid misunderstandings, I informed the Ukrainian president that together with the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, we are proposing the establishment of an inspection group composed of experts nominated by the European Commission and EU member states, which would directly determine on site the actual state of technological damage to the pipeline or its ability to continue oil transit to the territory of Slavic Republic. I reminded the Ukrainian president that the Ukrainian side has so far not allowed our ambassador in Kiev to carry out such an inspection, and that this opportunity was not given even to the ambassador of the European Union to Ukraine. President Zelensky rejected such inspection activity, referring to a negative position of the Ukrainian intelligence service. The Ukrainian president proposed a joint meeting with the Slavic side on all aspects of Ukrainian-Slavic cooperation. I accepted this invitation and asked the Office of the Government of the Slavic Republic and the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs of the Slavic Republic, in cooperation with the Ukrainian side, to find a suitable date for such a meeting. While I prefer a meeting with the Ukrainian president on the territory of one of the EU member states that Ukrainian president frequently visits. From the conversation with the Ukrainian President Zelensky, I gained a clear impression that the Ukrainian side has no interest in resuming the transit of oil through Ukrainian territory. So do you really think that it's damaged? Because if it truly is damaged, what would be the problem of showing the leaders of the other countries that, look, it's damaged? Or did you shut it off and you're saying it's damaged? We know that Zelensky lies. So let's see how this plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing we could see is that Trump and team, they're reversing everything the deep state players have done. And remember, you go back to the 16-year plan with Obama. We were supposed to enter World War III when, of course, it was shut down when Trump won the election in 2016. It was supposed to be Hillary Clinton. She was supposed to bring us to World War III. And yes, the United States was supposed to lose. The Constitution was going to be removed. And yes, the deep state players, they were going to take over the world. I know it sounds like a ridiculous thing. Sounds like a movie, but that's exactly what was going to happen. Actually, if you go back in time and you listen to Trump's speeches, he's let everyone know this, that if Hillary won, we'd be in World War III right now, because that was their whole plan. So how would you make the United States lose wars? Well, you weaken the military. You show everyone, look, we have our soldiers, they're being dressed up in dresses and high heels, which means people wouldn't want to join the military. I'm not doing that. I'm not going into the military where I can wear makeup and high heels, and these are the people that are going to fight for our country. Plus, if you're bringing these people in, and these people are completely out of shape, they can't fight, they're afraid, they have mental problems. Again, are we going to win a war? Absolutely not. Plus, if you installed other systems into the military to make the generals where they don't make decisions, and you have AI making decisions, maybe bad decisions, and keeping us from doing certain things, would we win a war? No, we wouldn't. So let me begin with cutting ties with wokeness. So Pete Hegseth put this out, and this is coming from Nick Sorter. He just announced the Department of War is cutting ties with the woke leftist Ivy League universities. DOW will no longer be subsidizing Yale, Columbia, Brown, MIT, Princeton, and others. We're done paying for the privilege of our enemies' wicked ideologies to be taught to our future leaders. We've had enough. Then something else came out. It has to do with Anthropic. And the Pentagon, and Marinoff put this out, the Pentagon has given Anthropic until 5:01 p.m. today to yank the kill switches off its AI so it could be used for all lawful purposes, which apparently includes everything up to, but not officially including, Skynet Light. If they don't, the Pentagon will terminate its partnership with Anthropic and deem them a supply chain risk. So the kill switch, what is that all about? Well, the AI company Anthrop refers to a remote shutdown or intervention mechanism embedded in Anthropic's AI models, such as Claude. This feature allows Anthropic to remotely disable or intervene in the AI's operation if it detects misuse, safety violations, or other risks, effectively acting as a failsafe controlled by the company rather than the end user. So if the generals are saying we must attack, we must, use the military in this way, and the AI says, no, this is against our programming, we don't like this, the company can shut it down, which puts the United States in a very difficult position. So Trump responded to all this and said the following: the United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. That decision belongs to your commander-in-chief and the tremendous leaders I appoint to run our military. The left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War and force them to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. Their selfishness is putting American lives at risk, our troops in danger, and our national security in jeopardy. Therefore, I am directing every federal agency in the United States government to immediately cease all use of Anthropic's technology. We don't need it. We don't want it. And will not do business with them again. There'll be a 6-month phase-out period for agencies like the Department of War who are using Anthropic's products at various levels. Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during the phase-out period, or I will use the full power of the presidency to make them comply, with major civil and criminal consequences to follow. We will decide the fate of our country, not some out-of-control radical left AI company run by people who have no idea what the real world is all about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, President DJT. So once again, look what they were trying to do. They were trying to take the control away from our elected leaders. And they did it in a workaround way of installing AI, and they were going to control AI, and any decision that came down from the commander-in-chief or from the generals, they would have the final say. Think about what they're doing. It's almost like taking control of the FBI, taking control of the DOJ, taking control of DHS, CIA, taking control of all the different agencies, and taking the control away from the president and those agencies and the different departments within the executive branch. They were running the country. So they wanted AI to run the wars. And yes, the AI and other departments would run those departments. So they were looking for a way to run everything, and it doesn't matter who was elected. That's interesting. Just like they're running the judiciary now. So once again, you could see Trump is taking control, and now this most likely, and I think it will be, removed from all different departments. Because again, you have to remember, this was part of their 16-year plan to put all this into place, to make sure that we lose the war. And yes, if Hillary Clinton was in place, did you really need AI? No, she was the commander. She would be the commander-in-chief. But since Trump's the commander-in-chief, look what they were doing. They were backdooring him. That's what they were doing. So when they started their war, which I do believe they're going to try to do, Trump wouldn't be able to make the decisions. Think about how devastating that would be on the United States. But you can see Trump every step of the way. What is he doing? He's dismantling the deep state players and everything that they set up and resetting the entire world. Trump hints that there's going to be a friendly takeover of Cuba. The Cuba government, he says, is talking with us. They're in a big deal of trouble, as you know. They have no money, no anything right now. Maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba. We could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba, which means we're very, very close. That's what he's telling everyone. It's pretty much, if he came out and said that already, that means the deal pretty much is done. And we'll probably see that very, very soon, probably in the next couple of days or weeks or something like that. But you can see Trump, he decided to basically shut down everything the deep state players were trying to do. And that was delay, delay, delay. When you look at Venezuela, they tried to delay. When you look at Iran, they used the delay tactics. When you look at Ukraine, Zelensky's delaying there. When you look here in the United States, the judiciary is trying to delay everything. That is their tactic until the midterms. And you can see that Trump, he's no longer playing that game. He knows what they're doing. He knows that they're trying to delay everything long enough. And this is why I do believe Trump decided that now is the time to go into Iran. Because you have to remember, April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, which is very, very interesting, that's when the Ayatollah signed the Islamic referendum, and they became the nation we see today. Now Trump went ahead and basically launched the attack with Israel on Iran. And yes, the Arab nations are all for this. Russia and China, they're standing back right now, just like they did with Venezuela. Because again, Trump wouldn't go in unless he has the cooperation from these other countries. And now I do believe maybe in the next couple of weeks leading up to April 1st, I think Iran is going to be set free and the people are going to take control very close to the date that the Ayatollahs signed the referendum. I think that's very, very interesting. But let's go back a little bit in time and remember what Nancy Pelosi says, that Obama masterfully used diplomacy to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. Did he really do that? Or did he give them the ability to create one? Awaken Outlaw says, do you remember how back in 2016 when President Obama had $400 million of our money stacked on wooden pallets and flew it into Iran under the cover of darkness on an unmarked cargo plane for a clandestine runway handoff? Oh, and how that served as but the initial installment on $1.7 billion he forked over, all in cash, to the wholly corrupt leaders of Iran as part of his truly awful JCPOA nuclear deal? And how that deal, the one meant to keep their nuclear weapons pursuit in check, didn't have any time anywhere, no notice entry in to inspect facilities. How instead of the aforementioned restriction on inspections meant that there was a managed access process put in place that would 100% allow them to avoid getting caught cheating. Did I mention that Iran is the number one ranked country responsible for funding, supporting terrorism worldwide? Absolutely. And that reminds me of Post 1245. This is April 23rd, 2018. And it says, think Saudi Arabia. Order is important. Saudi Arabia to North Korea. North Korea to Armenia. Armenia to Iran. Iran, any other rogue nuclear states. Define hostage. Define protection. Who is protected by rogue nuclear states? Trust the plan. The world is connected. Why are the border states like AZ, California important? Why is MX vocal against POTUS? Those who are the loudest. Where we go on, we go all. The Great Awakening, Iron Eagle. So, did Obama, Hillary Clinton, Biden, and many others, did they assist in creating nuclear rogue states? Think about Uranium One. Think about Syria. Were there nuclear sites in Syria? Yes. Did Iran store and develop their nuclear weapons in Syria? Yes. Who supplied the uranium? It looks like it was Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the rest. Did it go to Iran? Absolutely. Did it go to North Korea? Absolutely. So think about what Trump said leading up to the attack in Iran. Take a listen to what he said here.
I mean, we're negotiating right now, but they're not getting to the right answer. And we're not going to see people. We're not going to see what's happened for 47 years keep going. 47 years we've been doing this with them. The Obama deal was the worst deal. Nobody ever saw a deal so stupid. Right now, if you did the Obama deal, if that held, if I didn't terminate it, Iran would have a nuclear weapon, and it would be a whole different ballgame. That Obama deal was one of the worst, one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. Yep. First of all, it's very short term. It would long be over. You know that. Would be not. I terminated it, but if I didn't, it would be over by now anyway. But the Obama deal, what he did was one of the dumber deals. I've seen a lot of dumb deals. That would be one of the dumber deals. Well, they're going. I mean, we're negotiating right now.
So Clandestine said, Trump tells us everything if you listen carefully. He highlights again how Obama's Iran deal was a pathway to Iran to obtain nuclear weapons. Trump's interest in Iran is about undoing Obama's mess. Obama tried to give nukes to a deep state proxy. That's exactly what has happened here. And you could see that late last night, Trump, he basically told the Iranian people that we're going to set your country free. We're going to bomb Iran, strategically bomb Iran, and basically remove the Ayatollah, remove the commanders, remove the forces to give the people the ability to take back their country. And Trump outlined a decades-long pattern of Iranian aggression, reminding the Americans that the regime has openly chanted death to America since its inception in 1979 while backing terrorist attacks that have killed U.S. service members across the Middle East. He specifically cited the 1979 U.S. Embassy hostage crisis in Tehran, where dozens of Americans were held captive for 444 days, the 1983 Beirut Marine barracks bombing that killed 241 U.S. military personnel, the Iranian-backed militias responsible for killing and maiming hundreds of American troops in Iraq, continued proxies attacks against U.S. forces and commercial vessels in the Middle Eastern shipping lanes. And Trump also pointed to Iran's role in backing Hamas, which carried out the brutal October 7th attacks on Israel that killed more than 1,000 civilians, including dozens of Americans, and resulted in U.S. citizens being taken hostage. Trump issued a direct appeal to the Iranian people, urging them to reclaim control of their nation from the country's ruling Islamic regime. He says to the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all the police, I say tonight, you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So lay down your arms, you'll be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your homes. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It'll be yours to take. This will probably be your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I'm willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of Americans' armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Now it will be up to the people of Iran. If the people of Iran truly want freedom and they want a new way of life, they will show the world. Either they stay with the Ayatollah or they take back control. It is their decision now. And Trump is allowing them to make that decision. Just like in Venezuela. Remember, the opposition, they were in prison there. Trump removed the dictator that imprisoned them, and now those opposition leaders are free. They have the ability now to change course in the direction of Venezuela. The same thing with Cuba, now Iran, soon Ukraine. MJ Truth Ultra put this out and said, and there it is. Listen closely because President Trump literally is speaking from the Q drops. To the great people of Iran, the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we are finished, take over your government. If you go to one of the Q drops, it says, watch Iran. Something incredible is about to happen. Hassan Rouhani, the good people of Iran have the power. Fight for your freedom. We stand with the good people of Iran who are currently battling their installed regime for freedom. True rule, the people have the power. Rise up and demand they be removed. At some point, military generals will act with the will of the people simply because their soldiers are those same people and have no choice. We stand with you. We are monitoring the situation closely. Stay safe. God bless. And Iran goes much deeper, and it's not what everyone thinks it is. Remember, the deep state players took it over. And let me read this. As conflicted as I am pertaining to Netanyahu, the central theme of the Q drops is what I believe President Trump is after, and that it is to fully eliminate the Iranian deep state, which is part of the globalist plan to bring about nuclear holocaust. Yes, you read that right. Iran's nuclear program, terrorism, and geopolitical actions are the direct result of secret treasonous deals made by Obama, EU, Canada, and deep state politicians. The drops discuss the billions of dollars in cash pallets to Iran that Obama negotiated under the guise of hostage exchange, tied to the 2015 Iran deal. Q insinuates that the pallets of cash were also untraceable bribes or kickbacks to the deep state operatives, including Iranian leaders like Hassan Rouhani or U.S. politicians tied to Obama. In a nutshell, Obama deliberately funded all of Iran's nuclear program, terrorism, and personal enrichment for corrupt elites. I'm going to skip down here. Q alluded to North Korea and Iran essentially being puppets to bring about eventual nuclear fallout, planned entirely by globalist elites. These are just proxy countries for global chaos. To prove that, remember North Korea. During Trump's first term, a very specific mountain in North Korea collapsed, nuclear, and brought down their entire nuclear development. Because you have to remember, you had Obama, you had Hillary Clinton, you had the rest, funneling uranium into all these different countries. And now Trump is shutting it all down. And no, it's not going to be World War III. No, Trump is not starting nuclear war. He's ending what they were trying to start. And remember, Trump has every right to do this. I know Thomas Massey's out there and many other Ds and the rest and the fake news. Trump is using the War Powers Resolution Act from 1973. Remember, the deep state players passed this act so this way they can go into any country that tries to interfere with the petrodollar system. And this way they didn't need Congress to approve bombing certain countries or bombing certain people. And presidents have used this in the past to maintain the petrodollar system, to maintain the system that they've created and to actually push their agenda. If you go back in time to Bill Clinton in the 90s, he launched strikes in the Balkans. He also launched strikes into Libya. If you go to Obama, he also did this in Syria. If you go to Trump, he did this in 2020 when he killed Soleimani. So presidents in the past have used this. And again, this is an established law that the deep state players put into place. So yes, Trump can do this. And if you notice, did Trump strike in the dead of night? No. Trump decided to do this during the morning hours. He basically did it in daylight, and he sent Iran, the world, the deep state players, a clear message. We don't hide in the darkness. We do things out in the light, and we're coming at you and for you during daylight. Think about that for a second. But you could see Iran, yes, they're going to fight back. And it looks like Iran hit the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. And you could see that Iran decided to strike Bahrain, Iraq, Israel, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. And yes, they hit certain American bases in those different countries, in Qatar, in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in the United Arab Emirates. And you could see that Trump, during his first term, what did he do? He established the Abraham Accords. So Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Kuwait, Israel, they're all on the same side. And they're not going against Trump. They want peace. Actually, Iran is isolated. The deep state players are isolated. Slowly but surely, what did Trump do? He got everyone against the deep state players. And this is why he established the Abraham Accords early on in his first administration. Because eventually what was going to happen? He was going to need all these countries to be on his side. This is why he speaks to Putin. This is why he speaks to Xi. He's letting them know that we're going to have economic success later on. Do not interfere. I am not starting World War III. I'm not coming after you. I am not the deep state players. And you could see that from satellite imagery, and OSINT Defender put this out. It looks like the Ayatollah Khomeini's home in Tehran has been entirely destroyed as a result of strikes. And George put this out and says the strikes appear to be assassination attempts with unconfirmed casualties. But now we're getting information that there are certain individuals that have been hit. Well, first of all, Nick Sorta put this out. Iranian parliament was hit. National Supreme Council was hit. Ministry of Intelligence was hit. Iranian Atomic Energy Agency was hit. There have been major cyber attacks on major Iranian news agencies. And strikes are going to continue to happen. Now, the Iranian leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, he has now fled to other places. Some people are saying Sudan, or he's hiding in his bunker. But again, you could see that he's afraid. And you could see, as of right now, Iran's defense minister and Revolutionary Guard commanders, they're reportedly killed in the Israeli strikes. And the people of Iran, they're actually celebrating. They're dancing in the streets. And you have to remember, people in Iran, you're not allowed to dance on the streets. That is against the law. Public dancing is illegal in Iran under the Islamic Republic's law, deemed sinful, especially for women or in mixed settings. People can face arrest, fines, or prison for it. These streets videos show how they're defying all of this. And what you see is you see people celebrating. But again, let's see how this all plays out. And I think observing consciousness pretty much sums it all up. And this is what observing consciousness says. Breathe. This is not World War III. This is the liberation of Iran. The precision strikes today hit the regime power centers straight on parliament buildings, intelligence hubs, nuclear sites, propaganda networks, and cyber systems. This is the moment the Iranian people have been waiting for. Trump spoke directly to them. Take over your government. This is your hour of freedom. Stay safe. We are with you. I've been mapping the exact sequence for years. We are watching the 1979 overlay get dismantled so Iran can return to its natural state, a proud, sovereign Persian nation once more. Iran is coming home. Pre-1979, Iran stood tall as a modernizing powerhouse full of culture depth and Persian pride. It flowed with the world as a true partner. This makes Iran great again, happening live. The strikes open the space for people to rise and restore their heritage without the mullah chains holding them back. As the control layer falls, the long-engineered threat narrative dissolves with it. Decades of justification for proxy wars, arms deals, manufacturing, division across the Middle East lose their foundation. The entire boogeyman system is being taken apart. This accelerates real regional alignment. Gulf states already advancing through the Abraham Accord framework can now build strong partnerships with a freed, denuclearized Iran. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, a sovereign Persia, all stepping into shared economic strength and genuine stability. Even fresh paths in a BRICS Plus open for nations no longer exporting revolution. With the main boogeyman removed, the bigger picture shifts. Attention turns naturally, deeper layers become visible and addressable. Saving Israel for last finally makes sense in the full sequence. Everything is according to plan. The patterns I have tracked are unfolding perfectly. Iran, your hour has arrived. Reclaim your proud Persian spirit. The Middle East releases its longest running distraction and steps into real organic peace. This is how the future is born. Stay aware, family. A great day is here. And yes, Iran is being set free. The deep state system is being dismantled right in front of our eyes. And step by step, what is happening? Obama, the deep state, Soros, and the rest, they're losing power. What happens when a wild animal loses power? What happens when they lose their ability to wage war? Do they just give up? Or do they strike back in other ways? And I do believe this is why, most likely, they're planning to use Ukraine cyber attacks later on. And I think Trump and the Patriots, I think they know this. They're leading them down the path where their plan is not going to work. Trump is going to use the event that they're planning, World War III, which is not going to happen, against them. He's going to use it to usher in peace, just like he's using the military force, not to push war, but to shut down the war they were trying to push. Now, think about it. If they were trying to push war with Venezuela, yes, because they supplied the terrorists, they supplied the money. He's shutting down Cuba. They also were assisting. He shut down North Korea his first term, and now shutting down Iran. Does the deep state players, do they lose their strength? Because now, who's isolated? Ukraine. Ukraine is it. So does the deep state players, do they have what they need to carry out World War III? Or are they going to give it their all without any type of backup system? Without a backup system, Trump has them. He has them exactly where he wants, especially if they're trying to have Russia push World War III by using false flags or something else. So I do believe that Trump has them exactly where he wants them, and Putin is on Trump's side. The China, they're not going to do anything. So their entire push for World War III is not going to work. Will it look scary? Most likely, yes. But in the end, it's not going to work. And you can see it's all starting to fall apart. Just like everything else the deep state, the Ds have been trying to do, it is not working. And you can see it's falling apart right in front of their eyes. Because the more they show the people who they truly are and their true agenda, the people push back. Wall Street Apes put this out and said, Virginia Democrats ran on affordability. Here's what they voted on today. Voting against relief for the car tax, voting against ending the grocery tax. Every single Democrat voted to nearly triple their salary. Voted for a carbon tax to add to everyone's electricity bill. So are people starting to realize what's happening? Absolutely. And remember, these people that are installed, they don't represent the people. I think Cynical Publius pretty much sums it up. Governor Abigail Spanberger does not represent the people of Virginia. She represents the CIA. Spread the word. These people represent the deep state players. They don't represent the people of this country. And I think it's becoming very, very clear. And it looks like Chuck Schumer is in a bit of trouble because New Yorkers are now turning on him. The latest survey that came out, it shows that he's reached the lowest job approval of his Senate career. The latest Marist poll shows 27% of New York voters rank his performance as excellent or good, while 65% rate it as fair or poor. So whatever he's doing, keep it up, because eventually when you can't cheat in the elections, you'll be removed from your position. And it looks like the people of Minnesota, they're filing impeachment papers against Tim Walz and Ellison. Let's see how that all plays out. But we can see this is exactly what's happening. Now, think about this. Everything the deep state players have been trying to do is now falling apart. Now, Trump is dismantling their system worldwide. He's also dismantling their information propaganda machine. Remember, Obama was trying to take over Warner Brothers. And now Netflix withdrew from all of this. And now, what do we see happening? We see that conservatives are basically going to be running CNN, CBS, HBO, MTV, Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Showtime, TNT, ABS, Adult Swim, and more. So who has the control of information now? It's going to look like it's Trump and team. So it looks like there's a clear path for Larry Ellison to take control of CNN and many other things. So Joe Lane says Trump and his allies are taking over Hollywood and the media. Slowly but surely, we are winning. So Obama's push to control the narrative failed. Obama's push to have Iran be a rogue nuclear state failed. The 16-year war is being shut down right in front of their eyes, slowly but surely. You think the deep state players, you think they're panicking? You think the people are like, holy crap, what do we do now? Yeah, they're panicking. And Trump reminds us, and I do believe this is for the midterms and also the presidential election. He says, what would happen if Kamala Harris had won? Millions more illegals crossing the border, billions more in fraud, more criminals would have been released, limits on free speech, gun restrictions, trans propaganda in schools, higher taxes on everything, more DEI hires, police would be defunded, military recruitment would have plunged, packed the Supreme Court, and I think there's one missing. We'd be in World War III right now, and the Constitution would be removed. So right there, he's letting everyone know, if you vote for Democrat, basically what's going to happen is what's happening in Virginia. And if you vote for the Democrats in the presidential race, everything that's happened during Biden's time, well, we're going to go back to that, and it's going to be a lot worse. So he's sending the message out, and also at the same time, basically going after the news. Now, yes, we could see that his team now is going to be taking over a lot of the news. And Apple right now, it looks like the FTC has sent a letter to Apple about the alleged political bias in the news app. Because you have to remember, it pretty much shows you all the liberal media, but not the conservative media. And this is why Trump Retruth is saying that the FTC has just sent a letter to them. And that is very, very interesting. Now, once again, we know the deep state players, they tried to stop Trump and team every step of the way. And what we're coming to find out is, I think we already knew this, but the people of this country must be informed about this, is that Biden, Obama, and the rest, they were all behind it. Yes, we can attach this to Soros and many others. Bridget Furtick put this out and said, new documents reveal that while Fulton County DA Fannis Willis was building her RICO and conspiracy case against Trump and 18 allies, the Biden Justice Department secretly wired $2 million directly to her office. Was she paid off? Yeah, it's starting to look that way. And we could see exactly what happened. And the other thing that's very interesting is that 30 more individuals have been indicted under the FACE Act in connection to the January 18th targeting of City's Church in Minnesota last month, according to Kash Patel. So basically, these people are not getting away with it. And everything that Biden/Obama has done is being exposed to the people. Slowly but surely, you could see the deep state players, everything they set up it's being dismantled and exposed. Just like Kristi Noem just exposed that her own staff was spying on her. And this goes back to when we said that these agencies, there are still sleepers. They're not completely cleaned out. Yes, they are being cleaned, but we couldn't do anything because these agencies were designed to protect the criminal syndicate. And yes, there were sleepers. Secretary Kristi Noem put this out and said, performing my role as Secretary of Homeland Security has shown me just how real and dangerous the deep state really is. Elon Musk helped us find that a few DHS staff had installed spying software on the phones and computers of myself and other political hires. We found secret, secure rooms with hidden files that we turned over to attorneys under the leadership of POTUS. So basically, they were spying because they needed information. They were feeding this to others. There's secret rooms. They hid information there. And now the whole thing is completely and utterly falling apart. And think about it. They were tapping Kash Patel's phones. They were tapping Susie Wiles' phones. They were tapping Kristi Noem's phone. This is the deep state. And this is why when you want accountability, first we have to get control. First we have to clean all this out. We need the leverage first. And if you're going to have accountability, you need the judiciary. Remember, to get rid of the judiciary, you need to impeach them. And think about it. The Senate, with the rhinos, because remember, it's Republican anymore, they're part of the uniparty. Have they been confirming Trump's appointments? No, they've been delaying. That's what they do. And Susie Wiles, she was spied on. Now, of course, the FBI 1.0 is saying, oh, no, we had permission from our attorney. We were all in this. We were up in front. No, basically, the FBI lied about it. And I'm talking about FBI 1.0 because now we have FBI 2.0. We have DHS 2.0. We have CIA 2.0 because Trump has taken control over all of this. So all these people that are saying, oh, FBI bad. No, that was FBI 1.0. So once again, you could see that Trump has cleaned house, put the trusted people in place. They reversed everything the deep state players have done in a very, very fast period of time. And now you could see that Trump now has control. Does he have control of everything? Not yet. He still needs to get control of the judiciary. But again, he can't get control of that because, once again, it's a separate branch. Does he have control of the military? Yes. Does he have control in the executive branch? Yes. Has he stopped the money flow to all the different deep state players? Yes. He shut down the middlemen. Has he shut down the source? Not as of yet, but he will. Because again, does he want to destroy the economy? No. You got to make sure that you have a parallel economic system operational before you go after the source. But you can see that Thune and many others, they're continually using the delay tactic of pro forma sessions to block Trump from making recess appointments. And you could see that once again, they're doing this on purpose. Now, of course, they're going to try to explain that, hey, we're not doing anything. We're trying to get this through. But they're not. They're slow rolling everything. Colonel Towner Watkins explains, because John Thune is out there saying not a single one of POTUS nominees this term has been confirmed via unanimous consent or voice vote, which is unprecedented in modern times. Despite Democratic obstruction, the Senate continues to get the president's team in place. Well, Colonel Towner Watkins replied to says, no, you haven't. It's been over a year, and you and the entire GOP have slow-rolled the confirmation. This has zero to do with opposing party. There is no opposing party. You all are partners putting on a show to ensure the citizens stay enraged, angry, and manipulated. And yes, this is what they do. And once again, you could see the people are starting to understand. And once again, this is why Trump used the State of the Union and exposed all of them. Passed the Save America Act. Stand up if you support Americans. He did this on purpose. He did it with the rhinos. He did it with the D's. This was all done on purpose. He showed the American people. And you could see that the deep state players, they brainwashed the young white women, the young white men into thinking that the minorities don't know how to get ID. The minorities don't know how to find their birth certificate. The minorities don't know how to find their marriage certificate. And basically, during a session between white and black people, a black woman was appalled after a young white Democrat voter suggested minorities don't know how to obtain an ID. And the black people keep correcting the women, the white men, especially the young white women, the young white men, saying, no, we know how to get IDs. We use IDs all the time. This makes no sense whatsoever. And Trump is letting everyone know. Stop calling the SAVE Act the SAVE Act. It's the Save American Act. He says it's Save America Act, not SAVE Act. Republicans must start using the term Save America Act. Much more potent and descriptive. And he's absolutely right, because that's what this is all about. It's about saving America. And any rhino that doesn't pass this, it's because they're installed. And that tells you everything you need to know. And you know what Trump keeps doing? He keeps telling the people that should I run or should I have a third term as president? Which is very, very interesting. Because, again, it brings up the question, what happens when it's shown that they rigged the elections? What happens if he was cheated? Does he get a third presidential term? He says, maybe we do one more term. Should we do one more? Well, we're entitled to it because they cheated like hell on the second one. We actually be entitled to it. Isn't that interesting? So will he be? Maybe, maybe not. But you have to remember, he's putting a lot of pressure on the rhinos. Yes, the patriots are all for it. We know the Democrats aren't. And again, when all else fails, he will show that the elections are rigged. He'll say it's a national security issue. And then by executive order, he will make everyone show ID during the elections. So either you pass it into law or he has to take a different approach. Again, he will make sure the elections are safe and he'll make sure that we win. But he wants the deep state players to do the right thing. And I'm talking about the rhinos. Do the right thing. Pass the Save America Act. Will they? We'll have to see. It looks like they're continually putting it off. But let's see how this all plays out. But I think Tony Saruga pretty much sums it up, because think about the deep state players. They took over every part of this country. And he says, a country run by banks will always be in debt. A healthcare run by big pharma will never cure disease. A state run by war will never know peace. A nation run by media will never know truth. And he's absolutely right, because think about it. Have we seen every single one of these things? You know what Trump is doing right now? He's making sure the country is run by the people. Because when it's run by the people follow the Constitution. And when the people follow the Constitution, we don't have war. We don't have sickness. We don't have debt. We don't have any of these things. Because our first matter of business is to have peace. Our first matter of business is to cure the disease. Our first matter of business is not to go into debt. So think about everything that Trump is doing. He is now showing everyone that the fake news is just that. It's fake news. He's showing everyone that we have a tariff system which does not put the country into debt. We no longer need to pay for the debt. He's showing everyone if the people are in control, we will not have war. We will have peace. Trump is showing everyone every step of the way. And you can see he's dismantling the deep state players. To be blunt, the game is over for the deep state. It doesn't mean they're not going to fight back. But you could see they're getting weaker and weaker every day. And Trump, right after the midterms, once we win, he will have all the leverage. The people will have all the leverage. Why? Because the patriots are in control. Listen, everyone. Thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.